What you are listening to now is the Purdue-USC football preview with our Purdue guy Jake Dunn and Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader sports editor Michelle Garmon, who's an IU fan, but she's my sidekick and wanted to give her opinion on where the Purdue program is at this point. Please remember that we also have a weekly Purdue report with Jake, and often we have some guests. And after each game, we will have our reaction podcast with Jake as well. Again, often with some guests breaking down the game. This week, it will not be on Saturday right after the game. It will be on Sunday, but we will have one for every single game. We will preview, react, and have a Purdue report every week from now until April. Please join us.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Menkels.
Welcome back, Boilermaker fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for today's Purdue report with Jake Dunn. Jake has been talking the last couple of weeks about the unbeaten Purdue Boilermakers, 2-0, best start since 1904 under a new coach. Jake, we're so excited. I am also here with Michelle Garmon, who recommended Jake to me. So Michelle is an IU grad and an IU fan, but we wanted to get an outsider perspective and see what her prediction is going to be for this game. Jake and I talked a little bit about USC the other day, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them. But more, I want to talk about the state of the program and if they compete, are just competitive with USC and show some promise and can win 2 Big Ten games. Is that the goal?
I think that's a pretty nice goal. I don't think many people are out here expecting Purdue to go to a bowl game. I think this is really just a fundamental, foundational first year for new coach Barry Odom. And as you mentioned, Purdue's 2-0 for the first time since 2021. So really good chance here for Barry Odom and Purdue to kind of announce their presence on the national stage.
And as we talked about, Jake, Purdue is a 21.5 point underdog?
Yeah, 21 points.
I think playing within that would kind of be a win. We said on the last podcast, Michelle, that moral victories, not a big fan of them, but if they play within the spread
I
here.
will say this, Jake, I told Greg that if Purdue is going to get an upset this year and maybe make a little bit of noise, it's a perfect setting this weekend because they're celebrating the 25-year anniversary of the Rose Bowl team and bringing those teams back. A lot of those players are going to come back. It should be an electric atmosphere with USC. They're 2-0, so the crowd's going to be good and they're going to be noisy. If Purdue is going to have a shock the world moment, it's going to have to be this weekend because they will be swiftly brought back to reality. They go to South Bend the following week.
That is correct.
Yeah, couldn't agree more there. Really good opportunity, like we mentioned here, to shock the world and really kind of come out on a national stage. So,
and honestly, Jake, we have no idea if USC is any good. They weren't very good last year. They haven't been really very good for the last couple of years. And their first 2 games were Missouri State and Georgia Southern, which makes IU's schedule look like.
I know we talked about last time about USC's struggles outside of the Western and Mountain time zones. Last year, they lost to a pretty mediocre Minnesota and Maryland team. I know we can't really say much as Purdue fans, but those teams weren't world beaters. So, it's anybody's game. We've got familiarity with both players and coaches on the staffs. I'm hoping it'll be a little closer than that 21 point spread.
Yeah, when you look at USC Notre Dame back to back, man, that looks daunting. It really is daunting, but like Michelle said, if you're going to win one, you probably want it to be USC because you still have on their schedule number 9 Illinois, number 22 Indiana, number 23 Michigan, and number 1 Ohio State. So USC is probably below the mean. So if you're going to win 4 or 5 games, Michelle said, this is the one.
They'll find Purdue's going to this is going to be the first weekend they're going to kind of find out really how good they are. It's going to be their first really true test against a real team or a team that's got really good players. there are some teams that you play that have NFL players or NFL pedigrees.
And USC definitely has that.
Maybe not in the upper power conferences, but like when you schedule them and, they can have, but Purdue really hasn't seen that in the first 2 weeks with the teams they played. I think it's going to be a good evaluation to see just how good their quarterback is. High on him right now. His numbers look good, but again, pressure. Now I know USC has not had a great defense under, but
no,
there's things too.
They have given up 33 points.
Yeah, USC. I guess it all depends on how much those players want Lincoln Riley to still be around, because
if they lose this one,
he will become. I mean, they already said that his seat's warm heading into the season. It will get really warm if Purdue pulls off the upset.
Yep, he'll be in the frying pan for sure.
Yeah, I think, exactly. Jake, when Michelle joins us on the Purdue Report during basketball season, you think it'll go this nicely? You think she'll be this complimentary?
I don't think so. I don't think so either. So, love Michelle, but I think it might get a little more hostile during basketball season.
Right.
Except for one thing. I have liked watching Braden Smith play since I saw him play as a freshman at Westfield.
According to ESPN Analytics, Purdue has a 7.3% chance of winning this game. Jake, in your mind, the chances of that are better or worse?
I'd say better. I mean, we talked about the home environment, just what's at stake here. There's really not a lot of pressure on Purdue. They're already better than they were last year, from a record standpoint. Obviously, this coaching staff wants to win, but I think from a fan's perspective, there's not too many winnable games on the schedules. Any sort of upset that we can get is, like we talked about, earlier this week, is just gravy. So I'd say, because of the stakes, because of kind of the opportunity that is here for Purdue to really kind of make their mark under the new staff, I would say. I don't know if it's much higher, but it's definitely higher than 7.5 or whatever percent it was.
Michelle, better or worse than 7.3% chance of winning?
I think it's better, only because, as Jake already mentioned, USC does not. Last year they did not fare well when they traveled west for the Big Ten games. Defensively, they've not. They haven't been a good defensive team for a while. That said, the key will be, can Purdue's defense hang with USC's athletes that they have on offense?
And we know USC gets athletes. That's one thing we know for sure.
We do. And, so can they do that? And it will be interesting.
Jaden, last year, he through 21 games, I think it was last year, had 16 interceptions. So if Purdue can get some pressure on him and make him make some bad mistakes or bad reads, Purdue does have a chance. But if they're not going to be able to get pressure and kind of force him out of his comfort zone, then it's going to be a long afternoon for the Boilers.
Can they cover the receivers and stuff downfield? And if they can't pressure him, I don't think they can cover those receivers consistently down the field. It's going to be interesting. This is a big game for Purdue, not just for winning this season, but they need to beat USC when it comes time as far as recruiting, because right now they're as far as top recruits and picking a university that's in the state of Indiana. Right now, Purdue's behind Notre Dame and Indiana and IU. Their arch rival, IU right now comes ahead of them, making, and it used to be opposite. So Purdue needs a statement win or two, this year, so they can kind of get back and gain some traction in their recruiting, especially for.
That's the next level that we're trying to get to, I think, as Purdue fans. Just be competitive in most games.
And does the crowd stay? Do they continue to have great crowds if, say, USC comes in and they blow them out, and then they go to Notre Dame and they get blown out? Are those fans still gonna show up and hang out and stay? It's nice weather and everything, and students, there's excitement. Dave Odom brought excitement, and I'm going to be honest. Barry Odom has brought exciting. And I think Purdue is like, okay, we saw what Curt Cignetti did at IU.
No doubt.
This is our thing, and let's
just like IU seeing what Purdue's doing in basketball and saying, let's do that.
They didn't really get their last 2 coaching hires. Anybody will tell you, I was not in favor really of either one of the last 2 IU basketball coaching hires. I do like DeVries. I will say this. I do like him. I like what he stands for. The connection. I think you have to come in what Matt Painter has done, what Tom Crean did at IU when he kind of to rebuild that program after it got decimated, what Cignetti did. And I think Odom is doing that, trying to do that at Purdue too, and is having some success. You have to connect with the students first. You need the students to believe in you and want to show up.
Coach Cignetti's done a great job with that.
Make them feel important. And then you've got to go out and you've got to connect with your fan base.
It is kind of interesting, Jake, that the 2 programs are trying to emulate each other in the 2 different sports.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought that Purdue would be trying to emulate IU in football?
I never would have thought that would happen. But I don't think, Jake, there's any really doubt that IU is what Purdue is shooting for. IU is now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the changes at the transfer portal and, kind of just the state of college sports today, you look and see that somebody 2 hours away is doing, turn a whole program around in a year. Not only Purdue, but just other places all across the country are trying to emulate what IU's doing.
I think what makes Curt Cignetti stand out and why other teams and even people that brought in established coaches even last year didn't have that same success. Because what I like about Cignetti as a coach is the same thing that I like about Matt Painter as a coach. They hold players accountable.
Mm-hmm.
They speak truth. If they get a win, but they didn't play well, they're not going to say, oh boy, we got to win and celebrate a win. Hey, we didn't play well. We got a lot to clean up. If we want this, we've got to do this. It's a win. Yes, we're not going to, it's always nice to get a win, but we're not going to win many more games if we continue to do these things. Or players aren't living up to the standards that we have in our program. Cignetti's talked about that. Great coaches know how important the little things are and discipline and just being flat out honest.
Let's start with Michelle. The final word is your prediction. What is the score going to be on Saturday?
I won't be shocked if Purdue would pull off the upset.
Whoa.
But I'm going to go with USC, and I'm going to go with them by 10 to 14 points. I think Purdue's going to have a hard time stopping USC from scoring 35-24, 21-24.
I think that it won't be that high score. I don't think it'll be as high scoring because I think Purdue's offensive line is good enough to control the line of scrimmage and maybe have some long drives. Turnovers are going to be a big deal, but I think it's still USC going away. I like that 15 number that Sagarin says it's going to be, and I'll say 35-20. Jake, your pick?
I think naturally I'm kind of an optimist and think there just is always going to be a lot of points scored in games, but I guess I'm more of a realist in terms of the result of the game, where I see USC coming out with the win, 41-28. So USC by 13 is my prediction.
If the game goes the way that we all suspect that it will, I think we'll be pretty happy. I think Boilermaker Nation will be pretty happy, and things will be heading in the right direction. If it goes the way the rest of the world thinks it's going to go, we might have a different podcast next week, Jake. We might be talking about basketball early.
The thing about this season is we're not going to win every game. We're not, some games where it's not even going to be close in any of them. So I think just what Purdue fans are looking for is just to be competitive, be close, show that we can compete. Maybe not this year, but next year or the year after. Yes, we'd love to be like an IU as a football program and be able to turn the ship around in a year. But I just don't know if that's going to happen this year. So be competitive, be tough, play disciplined football, which they have so far. I think it gives Boilermaker fans something to be proud of.
Maybe if they can have a year like IU's had some years where they've been with good teams through 3 quarters and then unfortunately got blown out in the 4th quarter. For Purdue, after what they went through last year, that's baby steps forward. And
absolutely,
it won't be good enough next year for them to want to be returned. But this year, if they could do that in the big games and be competitive at least into the third quarter, that will be, though I know people out there, true great head coaches, and there's no thing as more victories. But for the fans, that will be, for the players, that's not acceptable. For the fans, that'll keep them engaged and interested and optimistic about the program.
Could you imagine if Notre Dame stays Notre Dame, if IU can continue their success, and if Purdue can kind of get to that level, have 3 top 25 type teams? Yeah. I mean, I think that's when Peyton Manning got drafted to the Colts, they kind of turned Indiana into a little bit of a football state, and I think we could have a similar effect for college sports if I think it might be a little bit of a long shot, but if we can get all 3, Notre Dame, Purdue, and IU all kind of top 25 programs, I think that they'd do a lot for the sport of football in our state.
I would.
Jake, Michelle, thank you so much, and boiler up.
Boiler up.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.